Okay, welcome everyone to another Marketing Momentum with Charles and Deborah. And I have to say the topic before I forget. What makes people click? There we go. That's our topic for today. Hi, Charles.
Hey, Deb. Hi, everybody.
Um, so the topic on what makes people click, specifically referring to emails. And Charles, I thought of you because yours are so easy, unless I'm ignoring my email, which I did last week. So if anyone emailed me, I didn't respond. It's not personal. I don't know what it is. Like every 6 months, I'm like, enough email. I'm just not
Right.
checking email for a week. And then I come in and go, wow, either not that many people love me and they didn't email me, so I didn't miss anything, or there's a lot of email and, job thing or something I missed, whatever. Anyway, but your emails, when I am checking emails, Charles, really do actually draw me to click. And I'm trying to think, and the subject lines, a lot of times you'll have like the day and the review. So I'm thinking, I must be clicking on it because of you. But I'm trying to figure out why other people, I almost have this like aversion. Like I go find their email and unsubscribe from all their emails because there's just something that just makes me not only not want to click, but not want to click. If that makes sense. I
No,
want
no,
to get rid
totally.
of it.
Totally. Yeah, I was just thinking about that this week. There's this one guy. His name is Ben Settle. I think I've even talked about it before. He sells one thing. He sells a $97 a month newsletter on emailing, and so I subscribed to his list because um, I was in a copywriting class, and they said, "Oh, you got to sign up for Ben Settle. He's the best email writer in the world." And so man, when I first started reading this, I'm like turned off. I'm really turned off from this guy. I mean, just like turned off, but some kind of way, so I kept reading. And this
And this
is
is after the $97. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you,
well,
but
yeah,
you've already
I
paid 97. It's like
no,
this
I
guy's
haven't
putting
paid.
me off.
No, I haven't paid, but he
Okay.
keeps his I guess I'm a prospect. I've been on there for 2.5 years. And you know what? I've been reading his emails just about every day now. And now over the course of I think 2.5 years. And he was one person that I think in his prospecting emails, and this was going way back, said, "Hey, you know what? You need to start sending an email every day." And I remember feeling like that at that point, like, oh man, that it doesn't really necessarily feel right. But I mean, I then kind of took that step forward. And I guess the point is, some of it is, we've talked about it before, is just kind of being consistent, right? It's kind of like um you do one thing like every day, sometimes twice a day, and then you just kind of keep at it if you're sending emails. And then in terms of getting people to open it, sometimes it's just familiarity, right? Because if somebody sticks with it, I think being episodic is hard when it comes to emailing. I think it's just hard to do because you kind of feel like, well, uh, I think you don't mind the sales pitch when it's consistent, right? When it's inconsistent, you do kind of feel like, well, man, should I really be opening this? It's kind of like, and that's why I bring back Ben Settle. This is the first time in 2 years I kind of felt like, well, man, maybe I should go ahead and pay this guy $97 a month if he can help me write emails. But it took 2 years to get to that point. And 2 years
But
he
then,
writes every day. I've been clicking on his newsletter. I've been going to get it. I said, man, $97 is a lot of money to just get one document in the mail, right? I just get one thing once a month.
that is a
John,
lot.
that's a lot of money, right? And then, but again, it's almost like this guy wore me down.
But that's like what if you're opening every day? I mean, that's over 700 emails. So I mean, to some extent, he's earned the 90s. At least he's earned the $97 for three
He
months or so.
has, he has, right? I mean, no, I'm opening
Oh,
stuff just about every day, and now I was just thinking today, man, like, man, maybe I should pay this guy $97. What's he got in there?
that's a hard one. I do have. It's not 97, but I have one that is. Hopefully, Michael's not watching this. Well, honey, you're not. That's like half that. And it's like then when I pay it, I'm thinking, what am I paying for? But she has some really quality stuff. It's the Book Ninja, Kristen Joy.
Uh huh.
But as far as for writing and for different topics and things, and there's a lot of content. And I don't listen every day, but I mean I have the membership access. But when I start to think, should I unsubscribe? And I'm like, but I've learned so much about writing books for kids, publishing Kindle. Some of the stuff I haven't done, but I know that when I'm ready to, publish on Amazon, I'm going to look at the material that she has available. So it's like, it's worth it.
And I think social media now is it never did. I don't think when it comes to marketing, it's quite ready, even Facebook Messenger, to take the place of email. And the reason is it's still very noisy, right? And it's getting noisier. And so it's not even about standing out. I think if you want to stand out, I mean, you want to stand in your head. I mean, that's the right thing to do is to do that on social media. But I think just in terms of trying to start a conversation with somebody, if they will read, email seems old school, but even and when I say old school, when you hear people talk about it, it's kind of like, well, you've got to be doing Facebook, you got to be doing Facebook ads, you got to be doing these other things. I don't know if those things are as effective in the long run, even now, as getting people to open an email.
I don't think they are. And, I think about our conversations, even on Marketing Momentum. I mean, I benefit from talking to you, Charles.
I appreciate it.
I've really been working, to build Social Cafe up to its former glory. I think you remember I switched it to Thursday. Everyone's like,
Yep.
Where'd it go? And then they didn't follow it back. And so it's kind of like rebuilding. But I was thinking about a lot of the things that you're saying as far as building, and you've mentioned this on other Marketing Momentums, that there's building that trust.
Mm-hmm.
And, my goal with Twitter chats is to build the relationship so that eventually it's about email. Not that it's not about the Twitter chat, but that's kind of like the inroad as far as the leads. But I found this gal, I actually almost felt like crying. I mean, seriously, I found this gal on Twitter that I used to talk to every week on Social Cafe.
Yep.
And she unfollowed me. And I'm like, why'd you, and it, probably, I know with mine, I have like 80K or some such thing. And it's easy to just like go through and you're unfollowing people randomly and trying to improve those numbers and so forth. So I'm sure it wasn't like, oh, all of a sudden I hate this person. But so I sent her a tweet and just said hello. Just thought hey, before we completely lose touch, let me just one final hello. And if she doesn't, like you said, social media is noisy. She may completely miss it. If she's not paying attention to Twitter mentions, she may not see it. But you know what? I gave it a shot. But I agree with you. Even on social media, have that objective where it's like almost like you're corralling them. It doesn't necessarily say trust to say you're corralling your people, but I mean, you're corralling them back to email because you're trying to connect with something that you can control rather than who knows when. I always think of MySpace, like, is Twitter the next MySpace? Is Facebook the next MySpace? Is it going to disappear? Because we didn't think MySpace was such a huge thing. I did not expect it to just blip overnight.
Well, I think the other thing too is that emails are hard. Okay. And I think, and I don't want to say that social media is easy, but I think it feels easier if you're trying to get started. And so you feel like you have reached someone, right? Even if I mean, I'm not even talking about algorithms and all that stuff and reach and all this stuff. I'm saying you feel like when you've posted something, you have reached people, that they're going to read it and they're going to process it. And the fact of the matter is, I mean, and I can only speak for myself in this respect. If you posted something and you put it right in front of me, right, there's so much else going on a screen, on any of those planes, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, any of those. There's so much going on. There's no way I'm going to be like solely dialed in on what you said. It's just impossible.
I have a confession. I've actually put a favorite on a tweet and not even really, like, I paid enough attention to make sure I'm not supporting, killing babies or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like, oh, that's about social media marketing. It can't be that bad, can it? So I put a little favorite on it. And really, I'm favoriting or liking the person who tweeted it because I know that person. I want to give them support. I really have no idea what the post is. And oftentimes, like you said, I get distracted before I click on the link to go visit it.
Isn't there some statistic that said, is it like 1/3? Is it 1/3 or 2/3 of everything that's forwarded or everything that's shared? Nobody reads it. I mean, I can't remember what the statistic was. I don't want to overstate it, like 89 is what's like. I can't, but I know it's some really wild percentage of people that share things that I mean, they have no idea what they shared.
I believe it. And I put out, the little statistics like images or, Twitter size, whatever. I will check the stats in Tweetbinder after Social Cafe. I didn't mean to just throw that all out there. Tweetbinder.com. No, and they're not paying me to advertise. But there's like potential reach or, potential impressions. And I put them, and that's how it's listed on my little, I put the numbers into my template for my graphic and do that every week. But I think about it and think, I probably reached 2 people, but it says I reached 21.3 million. And I love the number. I mean, 21.3 million. It's not as good as
Right.
Madeline was saying the other day. She reached like 6 billion. Yay, Madeline! I am so proud of you. Okay, but 21.3 million. It was okay for that one. But I doubt that any of those are potential impacts or potential
Right.
reach or
Right.
potential.
And the only thing you really ultimately do with that, right? I mean, is see, I guess if what you've got to market is either something that you are particularly selling or you're selling yourself, um, then if it appears to me, then email is probably the best way to start looking at that. But if you're trying to build an audience that you want other people to pay you for, whether or not you get paid for the thing you're selling, but if you want people to pay you for your audience, then these big numbers, they matter. I mean, then you start getting into, I don't know them, but I guess you start getting into the metrics of, how engaged are these people? Are they talking to you? Are they, and all that stuff. And then you can go to somebody and you can say, hey, you know what, here's the kind of reach I have. Will you pay me to get in front of them? Right. And I guess, and again, I'm not talking from knowledge point. I'm just kind of thinking that this is sort of how it works. The only thing about that is that all of that reach sometimes is kind of dependent on you having a relationship with those people in this world without uh without necessarily outright selling or even representing a product. And it's almost like when you start representing something, then there's a difference in the way you build the audience, right?
I feel like as I'm listening to you, I keep thinking ROI, ROI, ROI as far as your time that you're spending. And I'm thinking about Ben Sell, doing this daily. And I used to do emails a lot. And I mean, they took time. They're okay because that was before social media. Yes, I'm that old that remember those days. But
That's right.
but I'm like, if you're going to spend a lot of time, either you're independently wealthy and you just enjoy the exercise, or there's an ROI. In Ben Suttle's case, he's doing I used to call it, okay, yes, I'm advertising where I used to work. The Bel Air Investment Advisors. And no, they're not paying me to say that, but the great group, whatever. Because you had to have 20 million to walk through the door. And I think I've said this before on Marketing Momentum, where I said not doing the dollar store or the Walmart thing where I'm selling something for 50 cents
Right.
to 1,000 people. I'm going to go for the 2 people that have 20 million. Oh yeah,
Right.
that'd be nice to have leads that way. But that's difficult too, because as you mentioned, if you're talking about Ben Settle and he's selling this $97, he had to work on you for 2 years. If somebody had to go 2 years with no money, they might
Right.
get a little hungry. So there's got
Right.
to be some
Right.
balance there. I don't know what the answer. I think people have to decide what their ROI model, or are they going to be the few leads and a big product like Ben Settle's product, or are they going to have a lot of leads and a lower dollar? I think that one's definitely an easier one as far as an entry point. But then how do you balance the ROI with the trust?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, right? Because it's hard to build trust with a lot of people because not everybody's going to like what you do. And as you said, I mean, I got, I think I can't remember who told me a long time ago that said, never read the comments when people unsubscribe. And I thought, well, that's kind of weird. I want to know why people don't unsubscribe. But then, sometimes you read them and somebody says, well, you're the devil's spawn or something like that. You're the worst
Oh,
thing, stuff
I
like,
would cry.
and you started thinking, well, why did I read it? Why did I read this? And so, um, I think it is, as you said, it's a choice based on, kind of what you're getting back, in a particular case. Because in some cases, I think it makes sense to kind of focus on email. I think in other cases, it definitely makes a difference if you've got reach. If you can go
Mhm.
out and you can kind of get this group of people and they're really listening to you, or even if a portion of those people are listening to you and they're sort of waiting on what you're about to say. It was interesting. I was at this conference um, up in Maine, and the guy, I think his thing is called Screw the 9 to 5. And so basically, he built this whole thing in a Facebook group, right? He and his wife. And I don't know what kind of numbers they're doing, but they're doing significantly well in terms of a monthly, which is what they bring in monthly. And they did it all on Facebook. I mean, that's how they build engagement. That's how they get people involved. That's where they focus their attention. That's where they kind of drive their message. So they're not necessarily all that pressed about email. It's a fact. I mean, he did his whole presentation on how to do this in a Facebook group. So,
Wow.
I mean, it is significant if you can, but I mean, it's all work, right? Because he's not working any less hard than anybody who's writing emails every day, right? He's got to work at that. He's got to work at getting these people and keeping them keep the plate spinning.
Yep. And you still, that engagement, that trust, that relationship. I've been digging back into commune dot it. I should know that because I am kind of, they give me service. And so, yes, there's some exchange there. I'm just being truthful here, but I love their service and I would pay for it otherwise. But it helps. So, like who's responding, who's mentioning, so forth. But I met this gal, I swear I just met her like last week. Her name's Pearl. But we are tweeting back and forth, and not just tweeting like, hey, how are you today? This kind of thing. But like she asked me, what tool do you use for Twitter chat? I mean, we're having some serious conversations on Twitter. And of course, other people are joining in. But I'm thinking, how did I miss this? Or this is a really valuable relationship. And then you start thinking, okay, so should I be building more relationships on Twitter and less over here? And I know from experience, Charles, you've been around. I mean, with this, 64 blogs. I used to think it was 46, but it's 64. And all the Twitter, hopefully you're not listening, but all the Twitter accounts that I have, all the Facebook. And my recommendation would be don't do what I do. Do not do what I do. Do not have this many, have one social media like presence. And you can be on Twitter and all the different places, but don't do multiples. But because you can go crazy trying to engage everywhere. And it's impressive to hear that this group did it on Facebook. That's not me. I would rather, if I'm really going to invest, I would really rather do it on email. But I'm not one to talk. Charles definitely has that area covered better than I do, even though I pay monthly for get my response get response.
It might be that they have an email list, but I guess his point was they really focus on the Facebook group. And I guess one of the questions to ask them, and I didn't ask them at that time, is how they get the ball rolling and whether or not they got the ball rolling using Facebook. I gather that they did, and that they still probably use email, but I don't know what the breakdown is.
But you said it, on your side. I feel like I'm pointing at you. Focus. I think that there's a key there as far as focus, and that's definitely something that people should do that I didn't do. And we're running out of time. I hate to say that, but we're running out of time. Wonderful conversation. Maybe we'll have a part 2. But I think, Charles, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it comes down to the person and the relationship. I think I click on your emails mostly because it's you and your wife.
Because we know you. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. I think you can offend someone with your subject line, and Charles hasn't offended me, no. But I mean, other people where it's like just too much and they do it over and over and then subscribe. But if that person were my friend and checking on me daily, I probably would not be offended by their obnoxious subject line.
Yeah, and it kind of goes to, just another way to do online business. I guess what Tim Ferriss said, you need to have these automated messages for support, and I sort of get that part of it. I'm and I know we got to end up here, but my daughter left, and so I haven't found anybody to do support, and so I pretty much do support now. And I think one of the things that has been helpful about that is now I feel like now I'm talking to real people again who are actually the people. So it's been helpful to me because I now feel like I'm more connected and I know people by name.
Yep, exactly. Maybe we need to have a kind of a part 2 and talk about support and all different things we can do for CRM.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We need to invite your daughter so she can teach us. But
yeah, well, yeah, she has it down. I don't.
but that's great that you're connecting. And like I said, we ran out of time, but hey, join us next week for Marketing Momentum with Charles and Deborah. Thank you for joining us.
Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.